welcome to the Global Sports Channel radio show. This is a bonus episode. I'm the host, Mark Philpott. It's great to have you here. Hope you're all doing well, no matter where you are around the world. And every Wednesday, we're going to be putting out a bonus episode for you from the Global Sports Channel radio show about some things that are going on in the world of sport. And this week, I thought I would talk about two incredible events that have happened in the last 48 hours where amazing sportsmen have cheated death. And we all think of sports as being very inspirational and motivational, but every now and again we get reminded of how dangerous certain sports are. I want to start off talking about the incredible sailing race that is the Vendée Globe Round the World race. And boy, oh boy, we are having a race and a half this year. Now, if you're not a sailor, I'm sitting on my sailboat today talking to you. And for those of you that are into sailing, I'm on a beautiful Jeanneau 40 Dexalon. That's my boat, it's my home office, and it's where I produce all the things for the Global Sports Channel as part of the team. And hello to all the team out there in the Global Sports Channel world. It's great to have you with us. Now, back to the race, and the Vendée Globe starts every 4 years from Sables-d'Olonne on the west coast of France. 26,000 nautical miles around the planet. One person, one boat, and all that distance to go. It's been an incredible race so far, and I've been watching it every day. We're up to day 23, and boy oh boy, have there been some incredible things happening. If we go back to the beginning of the race, we had a tearaway leader in Alex Thompson, who was one of the favourites for this year's race. Alex aboard the boat Hugo Boss, and he was bossing it along for a long time. Just after the equator, though, Alex ran into a cyclone called Theta and unfortunately sustained some substantial damage to his boat. Now, if you haven't seen the YouTube videos, go and check them out because they're really amazing how Alex was repairing his boat and getting it back into race mode. Unfortunately, just a day or so after completing those repairs, Alex ran into some trouble and his rudder was broken. So Alex, in the last couple of days, has actually unfortunately retired from the race. He's on the way to Cape Town in South Africa at the moment because that's where the boats are near in the Southern Ocean. And once he arrives in Cape Town, he will be officially withdrawn from the race. So this was a real shame. He was one of my favourites, Alex Thompson. He's a great guy, very, very humble. If you watch his videos on YouTube, you'll see what I mean. And I've actually got a video here that will show of Alex and just how he felt after he knew that he had to withdraw from the race. So check this out.
Hello everybody. Well, it's taken me a few days to digest what's happened, gather my thoughts before I felt able to speak to you. I'm normally a very positive person, but if I'm honest right now, I feel pretty broken. You know, for the best part of 20 years, this race has been my goal. You know, we've come so close before, and this time I really thought it was possible. I have the boat of my dreams. We've put together a campaign I'm extremely proud of, and despite the setbacks of the last week, I still thought it was possible to win, or at the very least finish. I've given my life to this sport, and it's a very difficult pill to swallow. So many people have supported me along the way, and I can tell you, picking up the telephone to deliver the news, well, it's just heartbreaking. This sport, this race is just so tough. Things could change so quickly, but that's the beauty of it, and it's so challenging, and that's why I've given a large part of my life to it. The messages of support from the fans have been incredible. I really don't feel worthy. But also from the other skippers and the teams, your words have really touched me. I sincerely hope you all make it safely to the finish. But for now, I need to concentrate on taking this beautiful boat home, getting out of Cape Town safely, and there I'll officially retire from the race. And the last thing I need to say is to say thank you to everybody who supported me. To my team, thank you for your dedication and your hard work. I know you couldn't have done more. But thank you also to our partners. You've worked tirelessly with us, and you've shown such dedication, such loyalty, and I can't thank you enough. I couldn't quite make history this time round, but I can tell you I gave it everything I got.
So there we go. Alex Thompson really upset, obviously, and you know we can't possibly begin to imagine what it's like for a guy like this. He's put 20 years into this particular event, trying to win it. He came second last time, and he was so close to winning it. But he's got to wait another 4 years, unfortunately, before he comes again, and I'm sure he'll be back again next year. So the race has continued on, and it's been a really fascinating race because the yachts have been diving into the Southern Ocean. They had a bit of a trouble getting there because of the route they were taking. They had to go very close to Brazil and South America. And the reason for that is there a high pressure system that went across the St. Helena area of the Southern Ocean, and Southern Atlantic Ocean I should say, and this really slowed the whole fleet down for a couple of days, and it wasn't until recent days that they actually hit the Southern Ocean down into what we know as the Roaring Forties, and this is where the winds do not abate, the wave height gets higher and higher, and things get a little bit more interesting, let's say that way. But around about 48 hours ago, we received news via the Vendée Globe website that one of the competitors had sent out a distress signal. His name was Kevin Escoffier. Kevin's a great sailor. He's world renowned in sailing. He's from Saint Malo in France, and he's 40 years old. He's been on some of the biggest multi-hull and also mono-hull races in the world. He's done the Great Ocean Race, which many people will remember as the Whitbread Round the World race. So this guy's got a ton of experience. Anyway, he sent out a distress signal and all of a sudden said he was abandoning his yacht in the middle of the Southern Ocean, and the race committee went into warp drive. And I must say, kudos to them. They've done a fantastic job in the commencement and I guess initiation of getting Kevin rescued from the Southern Ocean. Now we're talking about around about 900 nautical miles south of Cape Town, so this is literally the middle of nowhere. And thankfully for Kevin, there was a lot of boats around at the time within a near enough distance to him. Now things could have been tragically different if the boats were more spread out, but thanks to the weather patterns that they've been enduring, there's been a fleet of around about 10 or 12 boats that have been racing together basically, or not too far apart. Now one of the race competitors, Jean Lecam, on board the boat Yes We Can. Jean is a notoriously amazing sailor. He's been in this race a number of times. I think he's done the Vendée Globe 4 times. He was actually rescued himself in the last edition of the race, just south of Cape Horn. And he was actually picked up out of the water by a guy on the boat from PRB. And ironically enough, Kevin Escoffier, his boat is sponsored by PRB this year. So Kevin had to abandon his yacht in the Southern Ocean, and from all accounts, I'm going to show you the video of what unfolded shortly, but from all accounts his boat basically snapped in half. Now this is really incredible to hear how these incredibly strong, specifically designed boats for this race are actually just breaking apart, and Kevin explains it all in the video, and also how he got aboard Yes We Can with Jean Lecam. So let's go over to the video now and find out exactly what happened to Kevin Escoffier and how lucky he really is.
Parce que je pense que c'est un esprit marin pour faire ça. Hein.
Ah, on a bien bossé avec Jean. On a bien bossé tous les deux.
Ouais, exceptionnel.
Puis,
exceptionnel.
Je suis content.
Tombé dans une bonne maison.
Ouais. Non, et puis comme je disais à Jean, putain, je lui dis en arrivant, je suis désolé, genre je suis désolé, tu fais une course de barjo, je suis désolé de te niquer ton truc. Il me dit bon écoute, la dernière fois c'était l'inverse. La dernière fois c'était PRB qui m'avait récupéré.
Ouais.
Et puis Jean-Jacques, je suis désolé pour le bateau.
Non, non,
Et,
c'est que du matériel. Rien de grave, Kevin, rien de grave.
Ouais, mais j'ai pas de
Kevin,
regret quoi. Putain, j'ai
rien de
renforcé
grave.
le bateau, tout ce que j'ai pu.
Kevin, tout va bien, zen.
Ouais,
D'accord.
ouais, mais bon.
Eh oui, je sais, mais c'est
Mais
bon.
j'ai pas,
Zen,
franchement, j'ai zéro regret. J'ai mis 200 kg de carbone dans le bateau. J'ai tout renforcé de partout. Ah non, mais c'est vous voyez les films sur les naufrages? C'était pareil en pire. En 4 secondes, le bateau il a planté, l'étrave elle s'est repliée à 90, j'ai mis la tête dans le cockpit, il y a une vague, j'ai eu le temps d'envoyer un texto, la vague après elle a tout fait chanter l'électronique et tout. Non mais c'est un truc de barjo. Plier un bateau en deux quoi. J'en ai fait, mais celle-ci. Bon, allez, on se tient au courant.
So there we go. What an incredible story. And Kevin Escoffier is one lucky guy, that is for sure. So now people ask what's going to happen. He's on board the boat with Jean Le Carme, and what happens to the time out that Jean Le Carme had to take to go and pick up Kevin. So good question. So here we go. What happens in this instance is there was 3 or 4 boats that were actually diverted to go to look for Kevin Escoffier. And what happens under the rules of the Vendée Globe is that these boats get taken into account in regards to a bonus system that gets paid to them in terms of the race committee looks at how long they were disadvantaged for. So basically how long they had to alter course, slow down, get involved in this rescue until the time that they actually started racing again. So as I'm talking to you now, the race committee are convening, and they're talking about the different time adjustments that will be made to those 3 or 4 boats that were involved in going to look for Kevin Escoffier on board PRB. Now, we won't know, I think, the outcome of that until actually when the race is over. The times will be adjusted accordingly. So at the time, Jean Le Carme, who was actually in 3rd position in the race, he diverted and obviously went and rescued Kevin, and they've resumed racing again. Obviously, Kevin cannot help Jean Le Carme aboard the boat. It's a single-handed boat. And word is that they're organising the French Navy to pick up Kevin Escoffier for somewhere in the Southern Ocean. They've got a frigate down there apparently, and they're going to try and arrange a rendezvous with the actual frigate, and Kevin Escoffier will be transferred on board and get back to safety that way. So that's how it's potentially going to unfold. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but they're talking about actually doing that to get him off the boat. I was also wondering whether the other option would be to put him on board Hugo Boss with Alex Thompson, who's going back to Cape Town, but that doesn't seem to be an option, and maybe that's because Alex Thompson's so far behind the fleet at this stage. So the race continues. Kevin Escoffier is a very lucky man, and as I talked to you this morning, we have in the lead Charlie Dallin still on Apivia, and linked out with Thomas Ryant, the skipper on board that boat, is in 2nd place. They're separated by about 220 nautical miles, which in sailing terms at this speed is around about 14 hours. And if you look at a map of the world, they've just gone past the Cape of Good Hope at the bottom end of Africa, and now they're really into the Great Southern Ocean, and they're going to take a few more weeks yet to get across the Southern Ocean to Cape Horn. Next stop as far as landmarks go is going to be Cape Leeuwin in Western Australia, and that's going to be their next gateway they go past, and they'll be well south of that, of course, down in 41 degrees latitude. So plenty of racing going on. I'm actually starting to fear for some of these sailors that are on board these high-tech boats. I don't think they're engineered well enough for the Southern Ocean. And to hear the story about Kevin Escoffier's boat just splitting in a 90-degree angle from the bow section is a bit scary. And I'm sure it's put the shivers up the spine of some of the other competitors in this year's race. And in fact, if you look at some of the videos online today of the other skippers talking about this incident, you can just see the fear in their eyes and in their voices. So I'm sure it's impacted the whole fleet on what's happened to Kevin Escoffier in the Vendée Globe at the moment. But let's hope they can all get back to racing and get their heads in the right place, and we'll see some fantastic racing between now and the time that they get back to France in a couple of months' time. There's still plenty to hear from that. So check out the Global Sports Channel radio show on Mondays and Fridays, where I give a regular update on the Vendée Globe and what's happening in that race. But for today's episode, Kevin Escoffier from Saint-Malo in France is a very lucky man to be with us all, and it just shows that the coordination of the sea rescue went down very well from the organisers of the Vendée Globe and all those other participants that were involved. Great stuff for Kevin. Now, the second thing that's happened in the last 48 hours or so in relation to a sports person cheating death was in the Formula One race in Bahrain over the weekend. And if you hadn't watched the race or you haven't seen it, well, a terrifying crash occurred, and the French driver Romain Grosjean, who drives for the Haas racing team, was involved. He went up over the front wheel of Danny Kvyat's car in the AlphaTauri car and ended up smashing into a guardrail. Not only did he hit the guardrail, he actually penetrated and went right through the middle of it. Let's have a what an accident. And Romain Grosjean is a very lucky man to be with us today. A lot of discussion around how he got out of that accident. And if you're not too familiar with Formula One, a couple of years ago they invested in putting in the Halo technology, which basically goes over the top of the driver's head and creates another protection barrier between the drivers and the outside of the car. Over the last number of years, there's been accidents where tyres have come off cars at horrendously high speeds and bounced back onto the car behind them, and also debris from other parts have come off as well. Cars have been flying over top of each other, and of course, if the driver is unprotected in the car by any capsule, remember Formula One cars don't have any enclosed cockpit, then they are at great risk. And what we saw in the weekend, no doubt, was Romain Grosjean's life being spared because of the Halo device that is put on all of the Formula One cars mandatory at the moment. So as you saw from that accident, it's just absolutely horrendous. He's a very, very lucky guy to be alive. He was inside that burning car for 28 seconds before he got himself out. And I just read a message from him in the hospital this morning to say that his 3 children were his inspiration to get himself out of that car and to stay alive. He had lots of flashes of his life before him during that very quick ordeal, and he also spoke of thinking and remembering Niki Lauda, who of course was burned tragically inside a Formula One car accident a number of years ago. Niki's not with us anymore, but the accident was not the cause of his passing. He later died of other causes. So yeah, horrendous accident for Romain Grosjean. And before the Bahrain race takes place again this weekend, yes, they're racing in Bahrain again this weekend. There's only 2 races to go in this year's calendar for the Formula One World Championships. Romain Grosjean was tweeting this morning that he wants to get back in the car for hopefully the last race, which is in the weekend of December 13th in Abu Dhabi. So we'll wait and see. The team are a little bit pensive, I think, in terms of putting Romain back in the car, but they said they're happy to have a discussion once he's released from hospital, which is likely to be today. So that's good news from Romain Grosjean. But as you can see from that horrendous accident, he was a very lucky man to be alive, that's for sure. So there we go. A couple of horrendous sporting occasions that have happened over the last 48 hours or so, where 2 human beings are lucky to be with us for very different reasons. One, thanks to the camaraderie of another sailor coming to his aid, and Romain Grosjean in that Formula One horrendous crash, who's also lucky to be here thanks to the medical team that helped him get away from that fire and put the fire out, and obviously from himself as well, extricating himself from the car in the quick time frame that he actually did. So there we go, a quick wrap up on 2 near-death experiences in sport in the last 48 hours. Don't forget to join us on the Global Sports Channel. Check out our website, globalsportschannel.com, and also join us on social media. Yeah, we have Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and we're also wanting to hear from you about what you think of our content and what you think of our show overall. So until next time, thanks very much for joining us. My name's Mark Philpott. I'll see you all again soon on the Global Sports Channel.